Today we are driving the 2026 Kia K4 hatchback. This is the GT line turbo, which means it costs around $30,000. It has a 1.6 liter turbocharged four-cylinder that makes 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. That engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's front-wheel drive, it's pretty spacious inside, and it does this. Wow. Let's walk you guys around the new K4 hatchback. I think this is one of the best in-class hatches on the market. It's just refreshing to get into a nicely equipped, well-designed, and comfortable hatchback. It's got decent power, it's fuel efficient, about 26 in the city, 33 on the highway in this trim. We've got a few options. We've got the turbo technology package and some other details that we'll include in the description. Heated ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel, 2-seat memory settings, Harman Kardon sound system, physical controls and buttons, easy to use, easy to live with. And it's yellow. Sparkling yellow to be exact. Almost kind of a mustard color, but I like it. Easy to find in a parking lot. Kia's doing a nice job with the K4 design language. I like these wheels, 235/40 R18 tires at all four corners. Has a really nice stance from the back. Look at these hips, these arches, this line on the fender. Good design. It's bigger and more spacious and more usable than the Mazda 3. It's almost a little bit wagon looking in its proportions. We get a compact spare tire. These seats fold down. It's got a grab handle to lower the hatch. Only ergonomic complaint is this door handle is right here, but the door juts out here. So you're always just kind of hitting yourself in the plums when you open it up. So you got to watch out for that. You got to kind of stick your booty out as you open the door so it clears. Something you learned immediately with this car. This is a nice grab handle, but also just a neat design element here. I'm 5'10". This is my seating position. I have lots of space. Even a decent amount of room here for rear-facing child seats, which isn't necessarily something you can say for a lot of the hatches in this class. Attractive looking interior. Not completely convinced on the new Kia steering wheel here, but I guess it works. There's some constant climate controls right there, though they are blocked by the steering wheel. And the rest of everything else has redundant physical buttons, which is always a nice thing to see. Wireless CarPlay, good infotainment system. Again, pretty good ergonomics overall in this K4. You even get a sunroof. Look at that. Easy to get in and out of. With the endless stream of new SUVs and crossovers, it's just refreshing to see a good looking hatchback. Let's pop the hood, take a look at this 1.6 liter turbo. Throttle calibration is really well done, super linear. Honestly, this engine doesn't really feel turbocharged. If I hadn't read on the spec sheet that it was, I would have thought that it's naturally aspirated. You don't really hear a turbo, there's no turbo lag. It's very fuel efficient, a little bit less so in the colder weather, but should get about 33 miles per gallon on the highway, 26 in the city. It's a little bit grainy, maybe not as refined as some other powertrains in the class, but it still pulls well. It's got good outright power. Overall, a nice powertrain, and the 8-speed auto is super smooth. Not a ton of torque, but we'll show you guys more of how the engine reacts and acts on the road in a few minutes. Whew, heavy hood. Should be good with regular fuel, 87 octane. Kia's doing a really nice job with their interiors these days. The materials all feel quite nice. Soft touch surfaces. All of your touch points are wrapped in nice, what feels like leather. Probably just a synthetic vinyl. And they're easy cars to live with. The ergonomics are just well thought out. Well, I guess everything except for this climate control screen, which is blocked by the steering wheel. There's a big empty space right here where that could have gone, but again, they want to open up room in these cabins these days, so I guess that kind of makes sense. You get wireless charging, a 12-volt outlet right there, USB-C ports. Here's your engine stop-start, parking brake, gauge cluster illumination is over there, traction control is over there. Nice looking cameras. Look at that. Cool. There's even a quick access camera button right down here. Love to see it. You can choose between a couple of different gauge clusters. You've got a home button here. You can go into your setup, select your screen layout. You've got a couple cluster themes. There you go. It kind of matches the design of the interior a little bit better. I still prefer the traditional gauge sweep, however. Wireless CarPlay works well. The screen is quick to respond. All good things. Nice visibility in this interior too. Mirrors are nice and wide. Steering's on the heavier side. It's not ultra light like a lot of other vehicles are these days, but it's not too heavy. There's just a little bit more resistance, not a ton of steering feedback. Love the turn signal cameras in all Kia and Hyundai products. They have the camera placement just right, just so you can see in your blind spot. Kia's come a long way with their interiors, with their driving dynamics. This is a decidedly much nicer car than previous generation products were in the lineup. Just from the level of quietness, the ride quality, the NVH lack of crashiness over bumps. Engine tuning here feels good. Let's see what this can do around a corner. You have two drive modes, normal and sport. Engine really only wakes up about 5,000 RPM or so. Paddle shifters work nicely though. I guess we'll put it back into sport. It's not super fast, but it's quick enough to get out of its own way. Driving assistance tech works well. You get highway driving assist, steering assist, adaptive cruise. And again, great buttons on the steering wheel, super easy to change things on the fly, turn on and off your steering assist, your following distance, make changes quickly there, pause, resume, skip 5-mile-an-hour increments. It's all just right there in a nice little button cluster. Because there isn't a lot of torque, this 8-speed auto does need to downshift quite a bit every time you roll into the throttle, ask for a little bit more acceleration. Ride quality is sublime, really nice suspension tuning here. We'll get out of this GMC Terrain's way. There's a little bit of wind noise at speed, but honestly, for the class, this is still pretty darn quiet. Way quieter than the Civic. Brakes feel nice. There's a softness to everything here. Almost kind of bordering on luxuriousness to all of your inputs. From the extra weight to the steering to kind of the softness with the accelerator pedal and brake pedal, the way this gear lever goes into drive or reverse. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to explain in a review, but if you're actually sitting in the car, using everything, touching everything, you kind of understand how far Kia has come in terms of its interaction points and its feedback, its feel in the last decade or so. doesn't necessarily inspire sporty driving. This isn't a hot hatch. I don't think it's even really a warm hatch, but it's a nice place to be and a nice place to spend time. As a daily driver, I think this would serve you very well. It can still hustle if you want it to, though. Sometimes the 8-speed's a little bit laggy in its downshifts, but that's only when you're spamming the paddle shifters. I really like the throttle tuning here. For a turbocharged engine, it's so linear. You have to kind of give it maybe about an inch or half an inch of travel to really get going off the line, but there's no lurchiness to it. It's really easy to make small adjustments in how much throttle you want out of this engine. And that's, I think, maybe the biggest reason why it feels naturally aspirated instead of turbocharged is that it's not an on-off switch like so many other turbocharged applications. Pretty bumpy, rough section of road here. It's quiet, it's smooth. Let's test out this sound system, this Harman Kardon. We get a volume slider right here and right here on the steering wheel. Sound system is decent. Powerful, strong bass, reasonably clear, maybe a little bit muddy in the higher register, but overall, I think it works for this vehicle's price point. You're getting a lot of value here. This K4 with the turbo technology package comes in just shy of $33,000, about $32,800. And you're kind of getting everything you need here. Good driving assistance tech, good comfort, heated ventilated seats, a premium sound system. I mean, what else really could you want? Nice Miata. You don't see as many of them as you used to. All right, let's chuck it into a corner here. Decent rotation, not a ton of body roll. All right. Let's turn some things off. There we go. About a 3-4 second hold there. We're just going to let the gearbox do its own thing. It doesn't seem to like being downshifted with the paddle shifters. Should we rattle off a quick 0 to 60? I think so. I'm just going to step into it. A little bit of rev limiter there. It's not the best sounding engine, but at least they're not piping in fake noise or anything like that. I think there could be a little bit more refinement with the 8-speed automatic here in performance driving situations. Daily driving, it seems to be pretty good, aside from just wanting to downshift a little bit here and there just because of the lack of torque here. But for the most part, this powertrain is very smooth 99% of the scenarios that you put it through. A little bit of wheel spin there. Yeah, it's struggling with that 2-3 shift when being hustled. Still, it handles well. It's nice and neutral. But it doesn't really feel at home or really that happy being pushed. All right, so there's the Kia K4 hatchback. Overall, I think a very recommendable product from Kia. It looks good. It's a little bit nicer and better to drive than some of their SUV counterparts, I think, like we see in a lot of cases with sedans and hatchbacks these days. It's priced well. You get a lot of features. You get a lot of bang for your buck here. And I think this is probably the trim that I would go for, is the GT line. You get all the nice fixins, but you're not paying $35,000, $40,000 for one of these. Earlier this week, when I first got into this car, I felt that the steering was a little bit eager to wander around on the highway at speed, but the more I've driven it, the more I've kind of gotten used to the steering feel here. It doesn't have a very strong on-center feel. It's a little bit, it does wander a little bit. And maybe that's because I was so used to driving the 2021 Kia Sportage, where that thing would just stay straight and solid on the highway no matter what you did. You barely had to put any input into it. This, you kind of have to be a little bit more active with your steering to keep it straight at speed. And it seems to be more noticeable at higher speeds than it does 45 mile an hour or 50 mile an hour roads, for example. So if I had one complaint, it's that you do have to kind of keep your hands more engaged on the steering than I would like. There's a vagueness here to the rack that I don't think translates well in a couple scenarios, in both performance driving and just kind of steady state cruising. But for the rest of the time, I think it filters out road imperfections well enough. Stay tuned on the Winding Road Magazine channel for some POV night drives of this car. TheTopher will film those. You'll be able to see what this looks like in the dark. Yeah, steering rack is similar to the Lamborghini Temerario. It's just a little bit numb. But good weighting, just numb. Like the position of all the buttons in this interior. It's super easy to use everything. There you go. We'll end on that note. See you guys later.